strives to teach people in the simplest form the joy of living a debt-free life while managing the proper use of personal credit. So I don't know about y'all, but I've been needing this. I've been waiting this for God. Let's get
Hey. I thank y'all for having me. Kiara, happy birthday again. And my birthday gift to you. Happy birthday. And so, more about myself. So, yes, the book was actually while I was here, while we're attending here, Make Sense Finances were birthday right here in Chaotic Streets. And God just really took it to the next level, and every year it gets better and better. So he gave me the information to put the information out, put it in the book, get it out, help pass that information on. And so for my 40th birthday, that was my gift to myself. I was like, I have to release it, I gotta get it out. And so I was able to. So enjoy. And it's really just my personal journey on how I came through. What did I do? What worked? What didn't work? Failures, all that good stuff, and just getting to this point of freedom. And so, speaking, I wanted to stay with how Kara had it with the position. So, position for prosperity. And prosperity can mean so many different things to a lot of people. And for when it comes to finances, when you're talking about being prosperous, starting first is your mindset. What is it that you're thinking? How were you raised? How do you see money? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? For me personally, yes, I wasn't raised in the hood. I don't know what it's like to be you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, well, that's not my testimony. However, my parents never gave handouts. Like, everything that I have, I work for. Statistics, me being a 19-year-old mom, statistics say I shouldn't have what I have right now. But my mindset was, this is not it, and we're going to, we got places we have to go. And so I talk about that in the book. It's like, at a young age, even like after being a single mom, being in my early 20s, I always saw myself somewhere else. I'm like, okay, I want to be an owner. I want to, have blah, blah, blah. We can't, the struggle, that's not it. Like, people say the struggle is real. That's not my testimony. I want to claim that. And I never did. So, and I passed that on to Alana to where, no, you don't, you're young, but why not you? Why can't you have? And so the first thing is your mindset. What is it that you were taught, and what are you trying to break out of? What is it? How do you see money? And just kind of go over those kind of things, but that's where you start, is definitely with your mindset. One of the things that broke a lot off of me when I met my husband Keon in 2016. So I was always a giver, but tithe is not something that I understood. No one ever taught it. I was raised in church. I didn't understand any of that stuff. And so while we were dating, I would see, like, he would, go to the bank on payday. He withdraw whatever that tithe is. He fold it up, put it in his wallet. And that spoke volumes to me, because I was like, wow, he won't even swipe his card, not even for a soda. Don't ask him for nothing until that Friday after that tithe come out, then and so that's always been his thing. And that just spoke volumes to me. I was like, wow, like and I watched, and then eventually I started copying what he was doing, and then God kind of dealt with me with that too. It's like, you can't bring your tainted money and join with him. He's tithing and doing it correctly, and here I am just like, okay, well, I'm giving, but it was nothing near 10%. So for us, tithing is not an option. Off top. From the gross. And that has made so much of a difference. It's like, as the years went on, God just kept blessing. He kept increasing. He kept opening doors. He kept everything that he put to my mind. If I say, oh, okay, well, I'm having dreams, he showed me I need to go buy land. I said, okay, we're going to buy land. He opened doors to buy land. Oh, okay, well, we want it, and that's just how it kept going. And it's not, it's really just when you're tapping in because it's a principle. And when you tap into that, sky's the limit. And so I put him to the test. I put that in the book as well. That how that's something that once I tapped into that, I just saw like, okay, there's levels to this, and it just keeps getting better. And the more that you give, is the more that when they tell you that you can't outgive God, that's a fact. You cannot outgive Him. He will keep increasing you. He will keep enlarging your territory, and you have to just see yourself that way and go for it. The other thing for me, I used to ask myself, why not me? Why can't I have blah, blah, blah? Like you see, whatever it is that you're aspiring to get, whatever it is that you want, why not you? Say that to yourself. Why can't I be the owner? Why everybody else can own, but and then the word tells you that the bars, like you're enslaved to the lender. Yeah. I want my own. Right. And so that was huge for me. It's like, okay, no. I want to be the giver. I want to be the one that can lend. And so just ask yourself that. It's like, why not me? Why can't I own? Why can't I have? Why, what is it that you're aspiring to do that you're stuck saying it can happen for everybody else around you, but not me? So that was big. Breaking generational curses and statistics. And again, with your mindset, because the way that we were raised can really put us in a box. And before you know it, you find yourself where it's like, okay, well, the grandma never had, your mom never had, you never had, and then you're passing that on to your kids where, well, we never owned anything. We never had, like, break that. Break whatever generational curses. Be the first. Be the first in your family to be that one to say, okay, because, like, in my family, marriages, I don't see that. And I've heard my mom say some stuff, and I don't know, don't speak that over me. And so for me, I've always said, like, no, I'll be that one. Let me be that one. If no one else, like, okay, but break that generational curse to where you're not following year after year, generation after generation, and it's just the same pattern. Continuing at one after the other, like break that. Right. A huge thing too is each one teach one. Yeah. One of the things that bug me the most is when one person figure out the blueprint and then they don't share. They charge you an arm and a leg if they do share. You're gonna pay this money to get this information, and that bothers me so much. Like more than anything else, I feel like everything that I experienced, everything that I went through, financially, all of my hardships, I feel like that is supposed to help somebody else, which is what the book is about. It's like, who can I reach back and say, you know what, I used to be you. I filed bankruptcy before. I used to, live off credit cards as a single mom. Like, who else can I reach back and get a hold of to be able to say, you don't have to go through this. And that's huge. Don't be that. When you learn and when you figure it out and when you get yourself out of where you are, look back and help somebody else, please. Right. When you get done with the book, pass it on to somebody else. Like, look, this helped me. Like, for me, it was Dave Ramsey. And I didn't buy a book. I didn't do any of that stuff. One of my friends told me about him, and I just sat down, and I'm reading this, and I'm like, I can do this. And literally the difference for him that got my attention is he was reaching out to people that didn't have. So when you're telling me to invest, and I'm saying I'm breaking even, I'm going to check, like, what am I investing? It doesn't make any sense. And so with him, he tells you how to start. Step one, do this. If you don't have this, this is how you can create it. This is how you can start a savings. This is what you can do to create that. And just from reading that, and not attending any classes, not spending any money on anything, just that broke something off of me and had me looking at finances in a whole different light. And every step that you're able to achieve is like, I did that. Like, and when I said to my friend, when she told me, I was just like, I can only save like $100 a month. At the time, I was just like, that's where I'm at, $100 a month. She was like, well, that's fine. Keep saving 100, because one of his steps is save up $1,000 emergency fund. I'm like, $1,000? I can't save, and that's my mindset. That's where I was at that time. And just saving up that $100 for 10 months. By the time I hit that 1,000, I was happy. And I'm like, it sounds like nothing to some people, but I'm like, when you're that deep in and you feel overwhelmed, you feel like there is no out, like you have no, that makes a huge difference. And so just that step by itself broke off so many things off me. And I just kept following it. And I'm like, okay, all right, snowball debt. Okay, pay off one debt. And for me, I used to pay off credit cards and then run back up. Pay them off, run back. Pay them off like with taxes. Let's just be real and get it. And I'm like, oh, income tax, pay them all, I'm good. I'm debt free for like 1 month. And then before the end of the year, I'm back in debt, all credit cards maxed out again. And I just wanted to do something to change that. And by March of 2016, that's when I got free. And that was before I met Keon. And it's like when he came, God just really like, okay, let's put it to the test. And that's how I started. I started out with writing financial plans on a sticky note for him, like, okay, when you get paid, this is what you do. And it worked. And so he'll give his testimony like, listen, that first plan came on a sticky note. You probably still have it somewhere. But that just definitely made a difference. And one of the biggest things is never make it about you. Like, I've never prayed and told God I want to be rich, because I don't, because all I'm doing is give it away. But I always told God, like, I want wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. Like, give me the wisdom to get the wealth, but it's never about me. Bless me so that I can bless others. That's all I'm telling. Like, if I get the blessing, it's going to somebody else. Like, just, even when I got the whole thing about purchasing land, it was more of, okay, well, we can grow stuff and then we can give away food. So that's my mindset. I was like, it's never about me. And I feel like that's important. The minute that you take your mind off of yourself, He will open the door, He will bless you, He will send increase. And you have to remember, don't get amnesia when you get it. Right. And so that's huge for me, where I'm just like, every month it's like, okay, so we're looking for people to bless, we're sending people on vacation that don't usually take trips. It's just being a blessing. You don't understand who you can be influencing, and again, so that when you're a blessing to them and they remember when they did it, like I remember when they did blah, 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 and then they turn around and do it for someone else. But just let that be a thing for you. Be a giver. Definitely the biggest thing for me, and that's where I'm at right now, is like the blessing, just figuring out, okay, Lord, what do you want us to do? Where else? What else are we supposed to be doing? Who else are we supposed to be blessing? Stay tuned, because now for 2025, now that the book is out and I'm helping you get free, next year I'm paying bills.
Amen. Woo, woo, woo.
So I'm gonna be every month. And stay tuned for the details on that. But every month next year, I'm going to be paying bills for some person, whoever, random person. But yeah, he's making room.
Amen. Amen.
And I just definitely want to be a blessing. I appreciate Kira for being obedient. And for the invite, definitely. I do have more copies of the book. They're $10 if anyone wants to purchase it. But I just want to be a blessing to whoever it is that God wants me to be a blessing to. And I was telling him, send me my assignments. Like, whoever it is, like, send me assignments. I'm here for it. I do, outside of my regular job, like I do make myself available to help people come up with financial plans, help you to get out of bed. And I feel like that's important. That's one of the things that's setting us back, is we're in debt, we're living in debt, people are depressed. You'll see, people lose money and they start committing suicide. Like, it's heavy, but I don't think there's enough people people out helping and teaching and educating people on how to get free and how to stay free. And so that's something huge for me. That's dear to my heart. And I'm like, God gave it to me for free. And so as many people that I can reach and help, that is the plan. That's what I plan on doing. But definitely to just wrap it up is the position yourself for prosperity. First start with your mind.
Amen.
First start with your mind. Change the way that you think, and just elevate yourself to the next level. Elevate yourself to the next level and watch God move. I'm no different than anybody else. I don't think highly of nothing. I'm like, he could give it and he could take it away. But that wisdom, when you have that wisdom to be able to get wealth, it doesn't matter if you lose a job, if you, whatever it is that you come across, that wisdom sticks with you. You'll always know how to get yourself back out. But definitely. Any questions?
What would you tell a person who's always trying to borrow money from you?
Ooh.
So funny you ask. I do have that, and I will say, I had to use wisdom because before I even got out of debt, I was one of those that I always wanted to help. I would charge my credit card to help my siblings. I was paying car notes. I was helping pay for funerals. I was paying cell phone bills. That was me. And eventually God had to check me on that because here I am borrowing money to help you because obviously I didn't have it. And God had to check me on that. And I definitely, it's okay to say no. And I even got to that point. We have somebody in our family right now that make rounds on us. So when I say and reach out to everybody in the family, we all, oh, you got the text too? Yeah, I got the text. You got, and I just got to the point where I'm like, it's not that I don't have it, but I'm not giving it to you.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
But you could be a pressure.
Yeah. Yes. And then they start looking at you as you're their God.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Nope.
Then you're not helping.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
Anyone else?
So you said in reference to financial or credit and things like that. What if you just don't have a credit? What do you do with that?
So I assist with that too. I assist with building credit. That's one of the most important things, and I know that we don't teach the next generation, but even for my daughter, before she turned 18, I added her on one of my credit cards that I don't use for her to build credit. By the time she was 18, she was already in 700s by herself, just based off of my credit. If you don't have anybody that can personally add you to anything, I mean, you can start with a small, like Capital One. They're good starter ones, and they'll start you with $300. The more that you can show yourself responsible, that's what you want, because that's all they're looking for. And in the book, I kind of explained how your credit score is like your GPA in high school, and then your credit report is your report card. They want to see how have you been doing. You got A's and B's, you got some D's and F's, you got late payments, that's what they're looking at. And then for the GPA, it's like your credit score, based on all of what's reported, that's how they're going to come up with that. But if you don't have it all, it's best to, if you have someone that you can trust, and I will put this disclaimer, if the person uses the credit card, that is not something that you want to be an authorized user on. I have a friend of mine that she was trying to purchase a home, and she was pretty much having everybody add her on their cards. And she did that, and then she's trying to get approved for a home loan, and the bank is like, oh, well, you owe $3,000 on these credit cards, you need to pay that off before you, so that's not helpful. The thing with credit, I'm not against credit, but I make the credit work for me.
Right.
So you want the debt to credit ratio, that's what they look at. So what I would do when I started with Capital One, every 6 months, they'll increase your credit line. but you gotta ask for it. Sometimes they'll do it on their own, sometimes you, but in reality, for me, they weren't offering me anything, so every 6 months, I put it on my calendar, I'm like, credit increase request, and they just kept increasing until they got me to 23,000.
Whoa.
Just off, and then it's not for you to go swipe,
Right.
it's for you to build credit. But that's really what it's about. It's because America runs on credit. But for me, when I spend cash. I like cash. I prefer, if I have spending money, I take it out of the bank, and that's what I use when I make purchases. But credit is how you get by. If you're trying to finance a car, if you're trying to buy a house, all of that, you need credit. So that's what they go by. But definitely, companies, also another thing, credit cards that charge annual fees is a no for me. I don't believe in paying them, they need to pay me. So if I'm using it, I get a card that has cashback rewards. And then if I'm booking anything, if I'm booking a trip or whatever, they're giving me cashback, I apply that to the balance, and then I'll pay them. But I'm not paying them no interest, I'm not paying no annual fee, I'm not paying none of that. So if you get it, that's what it's for. But definitely to start out, find a company that will just get you in the door. I know some people do secure cards, I've never tried it, but typically Capital One is a good starter. Anybody else? Yes. So the snowball, explain the snowball. So the snowball is something that Dave Ramsey talked about on his. He has the 7 baby steps, and one of them is the snowball. So what you're doing with your debt, and this is exactly how I got out of it, and how whenever I'm doing financial plans for people, how I do it. You write down all of everything that you have. So even if the big stuff, the car, the house, whatever, but you're putting it in the order of balances. How much do I owe? So if you have 5 credit cards, smallest to largest, you want to start with the smallest one first. What you do is any amount of income, that extra money that you come across, you're throwing it towards that first debt. Keep throwing it towards the first debt, you pay everybody else minimum. Once you pay that off, the money that you're putting on credit number 1, you then start putting on credit number 2. Same thing, throw extra money, everything else get minimal, move on to the next one. Pay off number 2, move on to number 3. And literally that's how I ended up getting out of debt. Like I was so determined. I took on a second job, and the money that I was making, it was like a wound care, I was doing wound care nurses, like visits, and I would do 10 visits a day. And I'm like, okay, $300. Take $300, tie it off of it, and then, and I was throwing that to the debt. And I just kept doing that. So that was adding up, like every week, every time I got paid, I would do that. And so that added up, and I definitely, when I say credit cards, and then one of the other smart things too, if you have a credit card that you're getting charged interest, you can actually, depending on what your credit looks like, you can open a credit card that has no interest for 12 months. Transfer that over, and then at least you're giving yourself a year to pay that off without them hitting you with that interest every month. But pretty much the snowball is just starting small until it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And leaving the big stuff for last. Student loans, car, home loan, you leave all that stuff for last. That's it? Yeah. Anybody else? All right.
Woo, woo, woo.
Thank y'all for your time.
Yeah, she's.
Pat, yes.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can say yes.
Oh, yeah, I
Alana.
want to
Okay.
But, I have something I want to say. You mentioned that you like to use cash. And I'm going to tell y'all something that I noticed. It's like, you notice now everywhere you go, when you use your debit card or card, they automatically slap
Charge you
that,
more?
charge you more,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
slap that tip thing up there.
Yes.
And it's just like, why is everybody looking for a tip now?
Yes.
When, back then it was just the restaurant. Now you can go and pick up your food. You just order it, and then
Yep.
go to the tip.
Yep.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna fix y'all. I got it.
And so,
So I
Yes.
But then I got to the point where I'm like, no. And I don't know if y'all ever went to Rice Bakery, but Rice Bakery on Dale Mabry, I love their well, I don't know if it's a slogan, but they have this saying, great customer service doesn't need to be tipped.
Wow.
I love them for that. And it makes you want to tip them because
Yes.
it's not like they're, okay, tip.
Forcing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you got Waffle House want to charge for to go.
You
Like, what is this?
buy a shirt, they want you to tell them too.
Yeah, seriously.
The clothing store.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they give you the percentage, they put
Yes.
20, 22, 25.
Yeah, it's getting bad.
It's getting bad.
And I definitely, and
Because the POS systems now are being designed to do that.
I think for them too, because they have to pay a fee for those machines sometimes,
Yeah.
so they're trying to get that back on the back end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be a business expense.
Yeah,
Right.
now,
Right.
they
Now
want to
they
pay
put
that.
it up, yeah.
And that is one of the things too, where they have, they're going to talk about too, is the envelope system. So when you're doing the cash, you're putting your money in an envelope, and you'll watch it leave you. And when you get down to the end, we're done. We don't got, that's it. We don't have nothing else. And the one last thing that I'll add too is the emergency fund. When he talks about the emergency fund, that helped me because it allows you to give yourself a credit line of $1,000. And when you need something, if it's a true emergency, you borrow from yourself. So you still have in your mindset, I have to pay this back. So even if it takes the $100 a month, saving up for however long, you do that, but you're just holding yourself accountable. Like, I have this $1,000, I'm not borrowing it from a credit card. And in order for me to keep this emergency fund for true emergencies, because buying clothes is not an emergency.
Right.
But it allows you to just keep that focus, and so that's what you're doing. You just borrow from yourself and use yourself as your own credit line.
Unless your house catch on fire, you got no clothes.
That's not gonna happen.
But FEMA, we got
You find a way to see them. We got a way to see them.
you supposed to have home insurance. Yeah. Well, thank y'all so much for having me.
Thank you.
I'm calling you. I need a new tax lady.
I won't announce it, but
Thank you, Holy Spirit. All right, so, online, we thank you for watching and joining us all day today for Prophetically Position, day 2. Can't wait for tomorrow at 10 a.m. Woo woo!
We gotta be at 10 a.m. in the